final presentation of the morning is to receive an update on Truist Park in the Battery.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, County Manager. We are here today to give our annual update on the Battery and Truist Park. I'm going to kick it over to Mike Plant to kind of give you some of the highlights for the last year as well as what we're looking forward to for 2023. And then I'm going to close it out with some really good financial updates. We have some very exciting news to share. So just here you go, Mike. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
I'm going to let you work.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'll be your clicker.
I'll turn that thing backwards. Good morning, Commissioners. A great day for us, as Bill said, some exciting news to share. And as I stand here today, we're playing very well on the field, and we're happy about that. Long way to go, but you're going to see some incredible impact numbers. I think, again, just proof that the risk and the faith and the confidence you had in us 9 years ago is definitely providing a lot of impact and to Cobb County and the community in a bunch of different ways. So just to kick it off, a few highlights. We had 10 million people, visitors, fans that came to the Battery in Truist Park last year. That puts us up in the top 5 of all major destinations in the country. And I think a really important part of that 10 million is to understand that approximately 80% of those people, the 10 million, came from outside of Cobb County. It's been said a lot that many times we're just moving dollars around Cobb, but 80% of that 10 million comes from outside the county. So we're attracting obviously a lot of impact and a lot of income from outside the county. We've hosted almost 500 events again last year, and obviously that's a big uptick from the COVID years where we went down obviously significantly. And we're adding a significant amount of square footage. By the end of this year, we're essentially completely leased out at 100% throughout the entire property. So results are definitely impactful and very positive. Okay, Bill, next. One of the things I think we all pride ourselves on as an organization is, again, playing well on the field and expanding our Braves brand throughout the Southeast United States, but also giving back to our communities. We provided approximately $500,000 of support to Cobb, 16 different Cobb nonprofits, school system, fire, police, and the military in a number of different ways. And you see a few of those on the board and on the slide. So we will continue to be great partners with Cobb. We do it in close collaboration many times with the commissioners. And you can count on us in the future to continue to support this community in many different ways. We, too, as you recognized earlier, are very appreciative of law enforcement, both the Sheriff's Office, the police, and the fire. They're incredible supporters of ours and providing a safe environment for those 10 million people to come to the Battery in Truist. Okay, next. And then just a few things coming in 2023. We haven't stopped yet. We have a 250,000 square foot Truist Securities Tower, bringing 1,000 new jobs eventually when that building is completed to the Battery. We have a couple new concepts that are being completed now, as I said earlier, that will take us to a completely leased out throughout the property. We plan to exceed that 3.1 million fans that attended our games last year. We've already sold out 12 games, so we're on track to do that again. And then we're going to start in collaboration with Goldenrod, the Henry project, which is 2 huge towers of apartments, another hotel, and some condos. That project will kick off in June of this year. And we're working in close coordination with them because of the proximity across the street on Circle 75. So again, a lot going on still, a lot of growth in front of us, and continuing the numbers that Bill's going to show you are just going to continue to grow and provide great impact for the county. So appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So we always like to start off our presentation on the financial side with the original baseball. So one of the parts that we always want to remind everybody is that the local contribution for the stadium and the investment was capped at $300 million. And with that original baseball came the original projections from 2015. So we have the annual debt service at the very top, and then we had the breakdown of the revenues that we were going to use to support the annual debt service. So with that, we have hotel motel tax, general fund property tax of $6.4 million annually. Then we had the property tax associated with the Cumberland Special Service District 2, the $3 room night that is paid by hotels within the Cumberland Special Service District 1, and the rental car tax. So just take a look at this slide and kind of see how we walk through this. From 2015 to 2022, the general fund projection was $6.4 million. The actual used for debt service was $2.1 million in 2022. Of that, the Braves and the properties at the Battery paid $2.5 million. So on the next slide, we're going to really talk about, this is really a milestone moment for us in Cobb County as we netted $400,000 above and beyond the requirements for the debt service for the first time in the start since this investment began. So not only have you now netted more money coming into the county, but you are also not paying the $6.4 million that was projected for the 30 years of those bonds. So we'll walk through that, and we can see some of the impacts as we go through. We all know 2020 was a pandemic year, and just take a look at some of those numbers, and you'll see the impacts. Pandemic year, hotel motel revenues that we were able to use for the debt service fell to just over $400,000. And then we saw some of the others decline as well. But with that being said, in the worst of times, this investment still was able to meet and exceed the obligations that we had in front of us. So as we come out of the pandemic, the numbers improve in 2021 and again improve even further in 2022. Okay, so there's a lot of debate on this slide, so I want to take a moment to kind of walk through this. The top blue line is the $6.4 million that we said we would use out of the general fund for the next 30 years of these bonds. The reddish orange line, sorry, you can debate on whatever color that is, shows what we actually paid. So you can see we started at 5.3, and we were on a downward trend until the pandemic hit in 2020. It took a little bump in the road, and then we continued down to 2.1. And again, of that 2.1, the properties within the Battery paid 2.5. That brings us to our green line at the bottom. So you see I've highlighted that number in red, it's $400K negative. That means $400,000 went back into the county above and beyond the debt service. So that is a very big milestone moment. I remember Chairman Boyce had that thought of, well, we're not gonna pay $6.4 million. The county's goal is to reduce the general fund impact, the impact to the residents. That is now to a positive number where we are now bringing in more money. So countywide, residents of Cobb County are not paying into the the debt service for the bonds. So that is being covered by these revenue sources as well as the property taxes paid by the Braves. So we like to show all three of these because there's varying perspectives, but these are the actual numbers as we walk forward. You can debate whether it's the 2.1 or the 0.04, but we view that as the overall net impact is 0.04 as a win to the county. Okay, the reason we're able to achieve that is the investment the Braves and their partners have made at the Battery. So this is some staggering numbers here as we kind of walk through this. Before the development, the value of that parcel was $5 million. At the end of 2022, it was $736 million. And that is, again, not the halo effect, that is simply the Battery. The property taxes paid by the Battery to Cobb County since 2015 is $18.4 million. Although we were one of the partner investor in this, there's other beneficiaries of this investment, including the Board of Education and the Cumberland CID. Since 2015, the Battery has generated $25.1 million to Cobb County Board of Education and $6.7 million to the Cumberland CID. In total, since 2015, that's over $50 million. Okay, I do apologize if these are a little hard to read in the back, but I think these are important to know. These are the revenue sources, again, that we want to show the collection rates. Now, one of the things we show this, and we showed the uses a minute ago, these are a little bit different. These are what we actually brought in. So we did want to take a moment to show you that because we did bring in some years more, which added to some of our reserves in the Cumberland Special Service District, and we were able to help address use those reserves to come through some of the pandemic and address some of the fluctuations that we saw. With that being said, one of the lines that does stand out is the the CSSD2 property tax line. You'll see sustained growth, and then you'll see in 2022, you had a dip in that. So the reason that there was a dip, there was a settlement on appeals that was settled in 2022 related to prior years, so it did bring it down, but it is a one-time reduction, and we expect those to return to normal levels, actually increasing levels in 2023. But just take a look at the bottom of that screen on the bottom right, $99 million since 2015. And then with that, we've also had a decision we made as a board to how we were going to use the Cumberland CSSD the CSSD1 funds, the $3 room night funds. So we, on a normal year, collect around $3.6 million. Several years ago, starting in 2019, we partnered with Cobb Travel and Tourism and began funding some of their needs out of this pot of money as well. So you can see that as far as the collections go versus the uses. So I did want you to note that as we go through that, you're collecting about $3.6 million. We do use some of that for Cobb Travel and Tourism through fiscal year 2023. Now I know we have an agenda item later today to look at how we do that in the future. So that would have an impact on future numbers if that agenda item is successful. It would generate additional dollars that would be used to fund some of these impacts that we see within the stadium itself. Within the battery itself. Okay. All right, so this is an important slide because a lot of times this is overlooked. We talk about property taxes and how we pay for the debt service and the requirements of the battery. However, these are revenues that are generated that are not used for that. These are revenues, primarily sales tax dollars, liquor by the drink, occupation taxes that are used to support county operations and mainly through SPLOST capital projects. And again, we are not the only beneficiaries of these dollars. So you can see on the right side, you're going to see a column for Cobb County Board of Education, as well as the state. So in 2022, this generated the battery itself, $26.5 million to these three entities. Okay, that's $6.8 million for Cobb County, $3.8 million for the Board of Education, and $15.8 million for the state. Again, above and beyond property taxes. And since, for this period of time, since 2018, that's over $91 million that have fed to help support Cobb County capital projects through SPLOST, as well as Board of Education capital projects as well. Okay, this is kind of the holistic picture here. As we walk through this, these are all the revenue sources that the county has the battery has generated for the county, Board of Education, the CID, the school district, and the state. So kind of as we walk through that. So just for this year, Cobb County generated $11.3 million. And you'll notice that property tax number is 4.1 because when we talk about how we fund the debt service, we're not including the amount that we generate in the fire fund and other funds throughout the county. So that's 4.1 in property taxes. The hotels located within the battery itself generated $2.1 million for hotel motel and $3 room night. Business license, occupation tax, liquor by the drink, and so on come down to $11.3 million. The Board of Education, again, not a primary investor in this partnership, but definitely a beneficiary as well as the CID and the state, generated almost $9.5 million in fiscal year 2022. And then the Cumberland CID, $1.5 million, and then the state of Georgia, $15.8 million, for a total of $38 million in 2022. And that doesn't even include the annual rental payments that the Braves pay the county as a part of that agreement. So with that, this has been a huge success in 2022 as we move forward, and we really have achieved a milestone moment. Now, with that, we know we have some ways to go as far as additional funding that will go to help support the battery. We have PD overtime, we have circulator, but right now you just took $400,000 bite out of that apple. And as things continue to improve, the goal is to say there is no impact to the county whatsoever using these revenue sources and how we move forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board. Do you have any questions for either me or Mr. Plant? We're happy to answer and take your questions.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, Mike, for that presentation this morning. It's always better to receive good news than not, and I'm happy to see the numbers as they are. From looking at the numbers over the years, it looks like things continue to trend in a positive direction, so we don't anticipate this is a unique year, but that we'll continue to see that
Yes, I can tell you based on the numbers that we already have for 2023, the trend is continuing.
Okay, very good. I see that it's surpassed the 2019 numbers, at least pre-pandemic numbers, which is really good.
Absolutely.
So thank you. I think, see a lot of value that is coming to the county and also to the residents in the community from the development. And that's just monetary. We certainly know the energy that that site has created, and also the ancillary development that's occurred around the site is because people want to be near that development. So it's very good to receive this positive report. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions? Commissioner? It is Commissioner Richardson's district. Let me start with our district commissioner appropriately.
I just wanted to say congratulations on the milestone for all of us, and hopefully it is a trend that we see continue. There's certainly what you're seeing is the evidence of intentional work and collaboration, and I just really appreciate and I think that's critical to making sure that these numbers trend this way. Thank you.
Commissioner Burrow.
Thank you. Go Braves. This is great news, and I hope these slides will be made available public online, and if you could email them to us as well.
Yes, Commissioner.
For anyone else that's interested, because it's a lot of information, good information, but we like to review everything slide by slide. So this is great that our projections are way over, and that the debt service is being done and then some. I think it goes a long way to show the vision that Chairman Lee had back then with Mike and the Braves, and it's very exciting. So to seal this deal here and make it even better, we need another World Series championship.
Yes, we do.
Okay, and a parade.
We share that same vision.
We're looking forward to that, and maybe an all-star game. Just throw that in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, when's that coming? 26?
The question was asked, when is that coming?
Stay tuned.
I thought we were slated for like 2026.
Don't know yet.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Gambrill?
Yes, well, this is all good news, and thank you, Mike, for sharing in that vision with former Commissioner Chair Tim Lee. Bill, this is where I think the constituents kind of get a little confused on how this is reported, because your final line shows a total revenue of $38 million.
Yes.
I don't doubt that $38 million is coming to the county, but where it gets confusing to many, and we hear a lot of kickback, is the actual impact to the general fund, which actually goes back to being just around the 11 million, but even some of those funds are restricted based on our agreement with the hotel motel tax and how those funds would be done. So in the future, just again, because we've got a lot of people that are getting very educated on our budgeting, is there a way that we can say, yes, this is the total impact, yes, you've broken it out by schools, county, but the SPLOST can't be used for the general fund?
Absolutely.
So the impact to the general fund, I think, is where people are more interested, and then also that, of course, impacts our payment.
Absolutely, Commissioner. We can definitely show that a little bit different way. This was kind of our attempt at showing the impact of the general fund, is showing that first milestone of the 400K positive. But to your point, yes, we can add a slide in futures to just show you that impact, because you are absolutely correct. On the last slide, this is the county-wide impact. And as you said, SPLOST is different, but this was one of the areas we wanted to show, is that some of these do go into the general fund, but some of the property taxes we mentioned goes to fire and other funds as we talk about that. So we want to show the global impact, but yes, we can give you that refined look at the general fund. And I think Commissioner Burrow, actually, when I met with her to discuss this, one of her requests as we move forward for the 2024 budget is going to show you how we plan to allocate those dollars budgetarily. And then we're going to add a slide to this in the future to show this is what we did budgetarily, this was the actuals. and you're going to get to see that impact as well. So that is something that we've committed to the board to add in our 2024 budget presentation, and we'll add the follow-up to that, put actuals with budget numbers when we do the update next year as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheffield.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that this looks great, and for each year it seems to build on itself and it's getting better. So this is very encouraging. There's a lot of development at the Battery, and it's just having a ripple effect throughout the county. I'm excited about, I think it's the Hank Aaron or the Henry development, which will also have a trading floor. I think.
No, it's Truist Securities headquarters will have a trading floor over a 5-story parking deck.
Okay.
And that sits next to that 250,000 square foot, their new
Okay.
headquarters. The Henry are the 2 towers with multifamily apartments, the new hotel, and then the condos on top of the hotel.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, this is just fantastic. It's definitely something that area needed. It really had brought a lot of life to that area over the past several years, and I'm excited about what we're hearing. And I look
Thank you.
forward to more good news.
And I would just close for me is to say thanks to all of you and thanks to Jackie and her whole team. The reason this all works is because that collaboration and partnership is so strong and so supportive. I think we've had over now 200 teams from all over the world have come to the Battery in Truist Park. We think we have the secret sauce, and they do too. And the one thing I tell them was what you'll never have is that partnership that we have with the county. If you don't have that public-private partnership working together, you're going to fail. And fortunately, that's the model of success because of that relationship and how closely we work together to achieve these results. So thank you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.